I have two stepdaughters, Scarlett 18 and Ava teen. Scarlett is a fantastic singer. She's been in some kind of voice lessons since she was 10 and just graduated from one of the best performing art schools in the state, where she went on full scholarship since 6th grade. She was also accepted into some very prestigious music schools. Additionally, she's been working paid gigs for the last 2 years and makes at least $500 to $1,000 per week, more in the summers. She's even been the opening artist at a few concerts. I'm not trying to brag, I'm just saying she's an objectively good singer. Ava, on the other hand, is not a good singer. She likes to believe she is, and she might become one if she stuck with the voice lessons or choir classes, but she always quits after 1 to 2 weeks because they're bullying her, giving constructive feedback. I've seen the notes her classmates and teachers have given her. Ava also likes to sing very loudly and/or at bad times. For example, if she feels that we're too quiet at the dinner table, she starts to sing loudly. It doesn't sound good, and I don't know how she doesn't hear it, but if you ask her to stop, she keeps going. And if you're blunt and say, "Stop," that doesn't sound good, or we don't want to hear it. She keeps going and gets even louder just to annoy you. If we're in the car and we don't let her choose the songs, she'll sing loudly whatever she wants, not what's playing, to annoy us. She responds the same way when we tell her to stop. The only person she listens to is her dad. A few weeks ago, we were trying to eat, and she was singing again. I told her to stop, but she refused. So I took her plate and told her that from now on, she's no longer allowed to eat at my table. She can eat in her room, the backyard, her car, the garage, wherever she wants, as long as we can't hear her from the dining room, and this will continue until she can behave appropriately at the table. My husband and I argued about it, but he's not home for dinner, so there isn't much he can do about it. Today she was eating lunch with us and started singing again. I told her to stop, but she didn't listen. So I again took her plate and told her to eat somewhere else where we couldn't hear her if she didn't want to act appropriately. Ava argued that she's a better singer than Scarlett and that Scarlett always sings. I was done with her BS, so I asked her how many times someone other than her dad has asked her to sing, not even paying her to be there, just her to sing, or how many performing arts schools she's gotten accepted to. She's applied to many. She started to cry, and my husband wanted me to apologize for being rude to her and insisted that I allow her to eat with the family again. Am I the idiot? Edit. Her sister does not sing at the dinner table. She does sing a lot, but at more appropriate times. You are the idiot. Ava's younger than her sister. Sometimes it takes some time to get better at something, and acting rude to her or discouraging her because you clearly don't like her makes you an idiot. Either ban singing at the dinner table completely or keep your mouth shut and invoke the thumper rule. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Something tells me she's doing this to try and get attention. How obvious is it that you're so proud of her sister? How much praise and attention does she get? And how often is that done in front of Ava? How often has Ava been forced to sit and listen to Scarlett's accomplishments? This sounds incredibly obnoxious, but something tells me there's a reason she's doing it. There's nothing wrong with enforcing table manners, but at that point, you became a mean girl and just said something to make her feel bad. That's why you're here. Your conscience brought you. You are the idiot for attacking her on a personal level. LOL, in any event, she didn't attack anyone. She was being realistic with her stepdaughter, who needed a lesson in keeping her ego in check. Otherwise, she might have been extremely embarrassed by her inability to sing in public one day. She isn't a child. She's a darn teenager, and the cuddling needs to stop. OP's not the idiot. Agree. How many times should OP have to say that there's no singing at the dinner table? If OP keeps allowing this girl to sing at the table, OP would be told by many on this board that she was a jellyfish with no spine and should have given consequences the first time she set a boundary and the child stomped over that boundary. My 34 male stepbrother, 35, recently had his first child, but it was a pair of conjoined twins. I'm not originally from the USA, although I live here. My brother's from an extremely traditional place and was brought up in a village, but he lives in the city. After birth, he and his wife wanted to give the children away. They began to call them a spawn of the devil, etc. When I heard about it, they informed me. I visited the children and told them to get them treated. They didn't listen and just wanted to give them away and ranted about how they were cursed, etc. I finally told them I'd take the children if they didn't want them, and they agreed gladly. I legally adopted them and took them back to the USA, where they were treated. They're separated now. This took well over a year. Both of them are doing well. Stepbrother and his wife learned about the separation and contacted me to fly back to the country and give them the children again. I refused and asked them to screw off. They were saying that my sister-in-law is unable to get pregnant now and is ready to accept the children. But I didn't relent and told them that they didn't deserve to have kids. My brother got mad and threatened to sue me and said he was their biological dad. I asked him to go ahead and sue me, and I think he's currently consulting a lawyer. Now, a lot of my family and friends are saying that as they're ready to accept the child and are unable to get pregnant now, I should give them back. But I don't want to do that, considering they didn't want them earlier. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. They hated those kids when they were born and didn't want them, so you took them in. You said you legally adopted them, so I don't think you can take them back. But I'd contact a lawyer and start getting things in order. In my opinion, their actions don't deserve them to have children. It sounds like karma paid them a visit for giving away their conjoined twins. Anyone who calls their newborn children spawn of the devil doesn't deserve to be a parent. This is karma biting them in their butts. They had it coming. Not to mention all the hard years you've dedicated to their treatment. It must have been exhausting and mega expensive to go through that. And now they suddenly want the kids back? How convenient. Screw them. They don't deserve anything. It's interesting now that the kids are normal, that they're ready to have them. What a load of BS. Send them the bill for all the treatments and watch them disappear again. Sarcasm. But those are your kids. The children are not puppy dogs that you can give back and forth. You are a wonderful person who clearly loves those kids and did the best you could for them and their health. You're doing nothing wrong. Fight for those kids. For them, you are their dad. The past weekend, my boyfriend and I joined his friends for a weekend getaway at a cabin, Airbnb. 5 people total. Me, him, a male friend, his girlfriend, and my boyfriend's girl best friend. I've never liked this girl best friend because she gives me pick-me vibes, and I think she either has a crush on my boyfriend or likes attention. She doesn't like me either. I remain very cordial with her. When we arrived at the cabin, she told my boyfriend that she hadn't packed any pajamas, and none of her clothes were appropriate since they'd get dirty. She couldn't wear the other girls' clothes because they wouldn't fit, so she begged my boyfriend to give her my pajamas, since I always pack extra. Without asking me, he gave her my pajamas. So I came out of the shower to find her wearing my pajamas, and with the bottom basically shoved all the way up her crack. She spent the entire weekend lounging in my pajamas. When the weekend was over, she tried to return them to me, and I said she could keep them. She got mad at me and asked if I thought she was dirty or had cooties. I said she could keep them since it seemed like she liked them a lot. She called me a mean girl and said I was being rude. It ruined my mood since the other friend took her side while his girlfriend took mine, and my boyfriend had to take my side. And now things are awkward, and I think I might be iced out by my boyfriend's friends. Am I the idiot? Edit. He didn't know that I didn't like her. I was annoyed at him for not asking, but I always packed extra and never fussed about lending clothes to other people because I believe in hospitality. I would have offered her the pajamas. He immediately apologized and even bought me new pajamas. I have no problem with my boyfriend because he thought he was doing the right thing, and he acknowledged his mistake and rectified it. I would have given her my pajamas. I still wouldn't have taken them back. She didn't even offer to wash them. She just tossed them back at me. Super weird she wouldn't offer to wash them before giving them back. Not the idiot. I'd have taken those pajamas back from her and thrown them into the trash can right there in front of them all when the argument escalated. Can someone explain why a single female is on a trip with 2 couples and not friends with either of the females in the said couple? Why is she fifth wheeling it and only friends with your boyfriend? I've never seen the opposite genders able to be strictly platonic friendships. Either they've done things together or one wants to do things with their friend and is waiting for their end. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's just been my experience. She got her power trip out of getting your boyfriend to do her bidding and then further exploited the situation by acting as the victim. Your boyfriend is more her boyfriend than yours, sorry to say. I don't see what you want out of this relationship. This guy has no sense of boundaries at your expense. What's next? The mother-in-law raiding your fridge while you're at work and taking your baby to the courthouse to rename it after herself? Or father-in-law and your boyfriend drive them there? What the heck, guy? He may take your side this time, but something will happen again. He isn't always going to side with you, so you have to decide if that's something you can live with. Yep, I've known girls like this. These situations boost their egos. It's the I can take your man if I want to mindset. Your boyfriend messed up here by putting you in an awkward position. It doesn't matter how close you are to your boyfriend or girlfriend. You don't lend their personal things to others without asking. Period. Personally, I would expect my boyfriend to speak with her. She needs to be put in her place by him. Otherwise, she'll keep doing things like this. If he doesn't, then you know she's his priority over you. My wife, 30, and I, 32 male, have been married for 6 years. My wife gave birth to a baby boy a few months ago, and she was recently diagnosed with PPD and is currently on medication. My wife has shown momentary bouts of anger these past few months, where she lashes out. These bouts of anger are usually temporary, and even though they're extremely fierce, I understand it's a symptom of PPD and sympathize with what my wife is going through. A couple of days ago, I had gone out to get groceries, but I had forgotten to get onions, which my wife is repeatedly reminding me to get. It was my fault, and there were a lot of items to get. I should have written them down on a note to avoid forgetting any items. When I returned home and my wife asked for onions, I apologized and said that I had forgotten and that I'd drive back to the store to get them if she wanted me to. However, my wife completely lost her cool and started lashing out at me again. She was really angry and grabbed an item from the counter without looking at it and threw it on the floor. I knew what the item was, but I was too late before my wife threw it on the floor and broke it. It was my late sister's watch. My sister passed away a couple of years ago from cancer, and it was the most challenging thing I've ever had to go through in my life. She gave me the watch as a memento to keep. I had gotten this watch for her on her birthday many years ago, but she got it engraved with our names. It meant a lot to me. So when my wife broke the watch and shattered it, I felt a bit numb. My wife immediately apologized multiple times and was sobbing really heavily. I told my wife it wasn't her fault and that it was all right because I wanted to calm her down, but I internally felt devastated. That was when, for the first time ever, I questioned if I loved my wife anymore. I don't plan on doing anything drastic for the next few months because my wife is already going through PPD and I don't want to add additional stress on top of it. But after a year or so, I'm seriously considering the possibility of a divorce because I'm really not sure if I love my wife anymore. Am I the idiot for considering divorce? Is anyone an idiot for considering divorce when they feel they no longer love their partner? Certainly not. Is anyone an idiot for leaving a PPD wife with a newborn is the better question. If your wife is going through bursts of uncontrollable anger, it means her medication is not working. I very strongly advise getting her back to her obstetrician or to the PPD unit at the hospital where she gave birth to get her reassessed, get her meds changed, and possibly even look at an inpatient stay. Yeah, I read this and thought, it sounds like someone needs to go to the hospital as soon as possible. I think it's not the right time to discuss the relationship and divorce. Your wife's health status is a house on fire right now, and they need to put that fire out before she starts hurting people, and not just things. She, the OP, the baby, any pets, everybody is at risk, and safety has to take priority over feelings. Exactly. This is a conversation to have with a therapist. I don't know the details of your relationship, obviously, but I think your wife is in desperate need of medication and also therapy. Modern science has a host of miraculous antidepressants. I'm living proof. After reading this, I recommend trying to amend the relationship for your own sake, her sake, and for the sake of your child. Good luck. My dad remarried when I was 12, after the death of my mom. My dad's wife was a widow also, and he had a preteen daughter at the time. I didn't blend the way they wanted me to. I don't hate my dad's wife or stepdaughter. I never felt a family bond with them, though. But my stepsister can be really sweet. She also has special needs and behaves very young as a result. She struggles to comprehend things like someone her age, 20, would. And her view of the world is very young. It makes her far easier to manipulate and far easier to upset. There were times when I still lived with them when I had to be very careful about what I talked about because she would get so upset. Movies had to be very happy and cheerful, and they could not have death, bullying, or any sarcasm in them because they could really upset her, which is why I'm so angry right now. So I'm expecting a baby, and my stepsister was so excited the last time she saw me. She told me she was so excited for me to have a boy named after his dad. I asked her what she meant, and she told me my dad and her mom told her that I would name a boy after her dad, like I'd name a girl after my mom. She told me she hoped I had a boy, and she was so excited and so easily believed that I would do that. I mentioned this to my dad, and he sheepishly admitted that they had told her that, and that they were going to ask me to consider naming a son after my stepsister's dad because it would mean so much to her. I told him I wasn't going to do that, and he should have known that. He told me they figured, but they also really wanted his stepdaughter to be happy. I spoke to him with his wife present and told him to correct the lie they told, or he could deal with the consequences of not doing so. She told me that I would be heartless to deny her daughter this. My dad asked why I wouldn't do it, and I told him I wasn't the one who told the lie. I told him the choice was up to him, and he could live with the consequences. They said I was blackmailing them and playing games, which wasn't fair. Am I the idiot? Why would you name a child after your dad's wife's ex-husband? You understand that your dad and stepmom probably have mental issues too, if they thought this was a reasonable request. Not the idiot. And honestly, just tell your stepsister that they lied to her from the start. Then the three of them can deal with that however they want, and you can live your own life. Are they delusional thinking that you'd actually want to name your child after a man you've never met? Or did they plan to manipulate you into it by telling your sister you would? You have some very strange parents. I hope your late mother had family you could hang on to because your nuclear family is not sane. Do they have a plan for when they die? They're trying to force you to become closer to her. OP, walk away. This is a way for them to gauge how invested you are in your stepsister. They're probably at the age where they're eyeballing you as a future career. Every interaction with you and your baby going forward will be about appeasing your stepsister instead of supporting your new family. It's better to cut the cord now and enjoy what's left of your pregnancy.